Brian Manning.
Sorry, Steve Corbel. Rita, are you here? Rita? Brian, we have Brian
Yes.
Snyder here, Joe Wall, Amy Wearspan.
I'm
Jude.
here. Yes. Okay.
Thanks, Rita. And of course,
Sure.
Matt Shipley are all in attendance. So the Town of McCandless Personnel Board for August 26, 2025 is now in order. Are there any public comments on the agenda items? Do we have any public attending?
No, sir, not online.
All right. So let's move to approval of previous meetings minutes. Is there anything anybody'd like to discuss? I'd like to, under the old business eligibility list, second bullet, go down to not to certify the list. Is that meant to be in there? The second, I mean, appear on the original list, not to certify the list.
That should be. Yeah, so
If you want to amend those minutes, that second bullet point should say, Rita Martin made a motion to ratify the list presented on August 27th, 2024, and to amend the list according to the chief's recommendation to not certify 3 candidates that appeared on the original list, period. Amy
I never
Worsted
said not.
seconded the motion, and Brian Snyder and Eric Fisher abstained. So you would just remove that little sentence that says not to certify the list. I think that was just left from a cut and paste.
Yeah, that's what I figured too. So do we need to vote on that, or is that just?
You would approve the minutes as amended.
Okay. So all, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
and all in favor, say aye.
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 Those in favor, nay. So the meeting minutes have been approved as amended. So going on to new business certification of eligibility list, John Schwinn will explain the process they went through to come up with this list that we have before us. I assume that Rita, you have one, and so do you,
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Chief, you know how to turn the volume down on the speakers in the room here, please?
okay, see if that helps.
Close the door, Chief, please. Are you gonna do it?
Okay, Brian, can you still hear us?
I'm here.
Can you turn them up a little bit? We need to hear them a little bit.
Okay.
It's not backbeating into each other.
That's about midway from.
Okay, so if I could review how this went, and I'd like to compliment the chief and panel of chiefs who we had help us with the oral interview process. The process was very smooth. I'll give you a summary from the beginning until now. From the date that the application period closed, we received 15 applicants for our police position. Significantly lower than we've had in the past. It's a sign of the state of the industry right now, but it also is we're competing against a number of other police departments who have positions available right now also. From the time that the applications closed until the day we did the test, 3 of those 15 had already taken other jobs. So our list was down to 12 folks who could show up and take the physical agility test and who could take a written test. Out of those 12, only 9 came. Out of those 9, only 8 passed the physical agility test. So we did lose 1 candidate during the physical agility. And then we issued the written test to the remaining 8 applicants. Those 8 applicants all received a passing score of at least 70%. So therefore, they were all eligible for an interview for the oral interview. At the oral interview, a panel of 3 chiefs were selected, and you see their names in front of you: Chief Bromlack, Chief Lucci, and Chief Leach. These 3 chiefs met. Chief Hawk, Lieutenant Egley, and myself did witness the interviews in the back of the room. However, we did not participate in the interview process. A very thorough set of 10 questions was devised and issued by each of the chiefs. They rotated how they went around the room and asked the questions. questions and ask follow-ups as needed. The questions really drew a lot of thought out of the applicants. They were about, not only their personalities and how they handle certain situations, but their knowledge on laws, their knowledge on the difference between training and standard operating procedures, and a couple of questions that really drew out kind of some ethical dilemmas and how they would handle them. I want to compliment the question writers. Ryan, you did really good with that.
Thank you.
As you can see through that oral interview score, we did have one applicant who did not attain the minimum score of 70%. He had a 57. This applicant has applied here in the past and had actually not passed the oral interview with our personnel board in the past also. So it was interesting to see that that was consistent at least, that he had failed an oral interview here before. So we do have a list of 7 candidates who are eligible to be hired, and they are weighted with their weighted scores in order with the veterans' preference points added. So we made a spreadsheet that calculated this based on the weighting, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you would have about that weighting system and where we stand now. So the duty of the personnel board is to ask any questions you have about how we arrived at these scores, and then to certify the 7 candidates who have met the minimum requirement to be eligible to be on our list.
Now, we want to make sure we don't say any names that are on this list, correct?
This
In
list will
Florida.
be, this list will be public record.
Okay,
So, will be posted, correct me if I'm wrong, Solicitor Stan.
Yeah, the names will be public. The
Yes.
scores will not.
yeah, but names associated with scores and ranking, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's free.
But this is an open forum. I just want to make sure that,
Chief, can you share what departments the other 3 chiefs were from?
Certainly. We had Chief Aaron Leach from the Franklin Park Laurel Police Department. We had Chief Steve Colucci from the Indiana Township Police Department. He's retiring any day now. And we had Chief and Manager Bruce Fromlack from Westview Laurel. And I thought that the process was very smooth to this point, and I think the chiefs did very well. Yeah, whoever come up with those questions was spot on as well.
Can I ask a question, please? None of these men who are on the list worked in any of those departments, correct?
Correct.
Was the written score, can you tell me how the written score was determined?
We had a third-party company, it's the Post Testing Company. You purchased the tests from them, it's a Scantron system.
I'm sorry, I asked the wrong question. Can you tell me how the interview score was determined?
Oral interview score, 10 questions, 10 points each. Each chief had therefore 100 points, and if you add those up, and divide by 3. So it was basically out of 300, divide by 3, that's how you get to the 100.
Did the applicants know the questions in advance?
They did not. The applicants came, they had a variety of preparation. A few had resumes they handed out, and a few brought questions in the end, which a few had a few thoughtful questions, some did not. But no, they had no knowledge of the questions at the time.
so in other words, for each question, they either got a point or didn't get a point. Is that correct?
1 through
1
10.
through 10.
So if I ask you question
Oh,
1,
10,
and
yeah.
tell me how you would police this certain situation, each chief gave them a 1 through 10 score
Okay,
on that question.
So what,
10 questions later,
gotcha.
if you were the panel of 3, you would have each had a score out of 100, and you add them up and divide, and that's how you get that.
so there was no discussion amongst the chiefs about the candidates. It was all done individually.
Individual scoring, and then at the end, they added together and divided. And honestly, I don't think they added them all together at the end and signed until the very end of the last candidate. We had one candidate who had to come a second day. He wasn't available the first day. So the scoring wasn't complete until we had finished.
Could the candidates get, for lack of a better phrase, extra credit for the questions they asked afterward?
we just wanted, to give them any answers they had, if there were opportunities in our police department, how the process works, so we could talk through with them. Really only think 2 out of the 8 asked any follow-up questions.
I had a question, just this is my first time going through this as a member of this board. The veterans points, can you explain what would be necessary for a candidate to receive those?
Honorable discharge from any armed service.
Okay,
It's a 10-point weight that gets added to the score at the end.
okay, thank you.
We follow that through PA statute, so that's.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Any other questions on the process?
So the column missing is the total score with the veterans points for everyone. Well, I guess you would just say.
No,
Veterans
So
points at that.
Yeah, there are only 3 that
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah, so then
Right,
this one
yeah.
would be, okay, got
So
it.
they're in the right order,
Yeah.
you just.
Yeah.
see
These
on
are the
the
3
end where
veterans,
they-
obviously.
Oh, so they are ranked top to bottom. Okay, got
Mhm.
You
it.
can see how the raw scores would be there without the veterans points. It
Yeah.
would have changed the list,
Yes.
but we do have to follow that regulation.
Yep.
now tell us how we proceed from here.
So Rita, your job is basically to see this list and you're gonna put the certification of the board on it. That means you reviewed it, you're confident in the process that we provided, you asked enough questions to make sure we did our job properly. These scores are valid. Once you certify that list, our duty is to notify the candidates where they fall in that, first of all, that they passed or failed, and number 2, where they fall in that order. From that point forward, we have a eligibility list is created. In the top 3, that's where you need to make your first hire from. Background checks will begin to be conducted by our detectives. We do that in-house, very thorough, and I'm sure Ryan could talk more about that process. If you wanted to know what the background check process was. Assuming all those candidates meet the requirements of that background check, then the hiring would take place from that group of 3 for your first officer selected. Then there's a new group of 3 for the second officer selected, because if you take one out, somebody else moves up, and you could choose from there.
How many officers are we looking to
Yes.
hire?
So we currently have the opening for 2. We have 2 vacancies, which we've had virtually all year. So he's been running short staff the entire year of 25. If we have a good candidate pool here, I think pending how the background checks go, we may be in the position that I would recommend to council to hire 3 based on a few folks we have in the drop program who are going to drop within 2026. If it doesn't shake out the way, if let's say that we decide, council says, well, we only want to do 2 right now, that's fine. The list is active for 6 months. If anybody would retire, we could move around as the time went on, or we'd have to do the process over. The benefit of the 6-month list is it gives us flexibility to either keep it and extend it another 6 months if we want, or to be able to offer the testing process again if, let's say, we thought that market conditions changed, a new academy class graduated, things like that.
Who decides, excuse me, who decides if we do another 6 months on the list? Is that something that the board will decide? Not us, but council, yes. Okay. Thank you.
One of the benefits to the way we did this process is we're very speedy, we're expeditious.
Yes,
We're
yes.
in a position where if this list gets certified tonight, which I hope it will, and our detectives move swiftly and efficiently on these background checks, we could be in a position to offer jobs to the candidates at the September 22nd council meeting, which means the entire process will have taken us about less than 90 days. And I think that that's pretty quick. That's important in order to get
Awesome. Yes, yes.
other police departments for these folks right now.
What's involved?
Sounds
in
good.
that?
Chief, you wanna go to the
Yeah,
background check?
so it's a deep dive, we, on their application that they're providing previous employment for the past 10 years at least, previous addresses, current addresses. So the detectives will go out and we'll have officers here in house as well, call the previous employers, the current employer, ask some questions that, would reveal whether or not they were, a good employee, if there was any kind of problems. Hopefully that would come out in that process. We will endeavor to get personnel files from a current police department if they're employed, elsewhere, so we can see if there's a disciplinary history, any good things in that jacket, training. We go to their current and, as many past neighborhoods that they lived in, and we interview neighbors. Obviously, they all provide, I think it's 3 or more references. We'll call the references. I anticipate those will all be positive, but they haven't always been in my career. I know I've knocked on the door or two or called a reference and they were like, but we have our detectives do what they can as far as looking at their financial background as well. We have the detectives check their social media websites, see what kind of postings they do and such. If they get to the point where that they're a finalist for council's consideration, and we believe we will offer conditional offer, we offer that conditional offer. You know what I'm saying? They will also be subject to a psychological evaluation and a doctor's physical. They've already done the physical agility. That was the very first step.
Chief, when you do the investigation after it's done, who knocks them out? You do, the board does? Who knocks them out if they are found to be, suspect?
So if there's a problem in the background,
Mm-hmm.
I would say in consultation with the manager and the solicitor and, council's blessing, they would be ineligible to proceed
Right.
further, would be disqualified, Rita, probably officially by, is it town council?
Well,
We kind of, don't we do
I
that?
think we'll come back to this boards and with the recommendation, and then we would send it.
There you go, Rita. It would eventually end in your lap, probably, Rita.
Okay,
That's what
just
happened.
wondering. Thank you.
Is there a plan to promote? I know we have some gaps in leadership in the department as well. Is there a plan down the road to do some promotions, which would potentially open up other?
We have a sergeant's process underway where officers, 8 of them, are studying right now for a written exam that I think
Oh,
is
wow, great.
mid-October.
Okay,
Yeah, so you'll see, it won't open up any new slots because these folks will fill those existing slots. But right now, we're just running with Lieutenant Chevy is acting as a sergeant. He hasn't been moved up. He hasn't really taken on his lieutenant duties yet. So once we get a new sergeant from our list, which you'll see this whole process again come before you in a couple months, it's probably going to be about October-ish. You'll have to review this again for the sergeant promotion process. They get a written test, they get an oral interview, and you'll have to certify a list again that goes from that. So you'll see that coming in front of you pretty shortly too.
okay.
A few of the folks in the drop are sergeants. So as they would move out, some of these candidates who are testing for sergeant will see opportunities to advance.
And whenever that sergeant is, that eligibility list for promotion to sergeant is finalized. I know for sure one with Cheverenchik's elevation to lieutenant, we need to replace him. And then there's a potential for another sergeant who I think intends to retire in the spring. So we might, if the list is, viable, when we might be able to promote 2 off of that list. That'll be for council.
Have they already done the written test for the sergeant?
That's going to be
Doing that.
mid-October, Amy. Right now,
October.
they're in a study period. There's
Okay.
quite a few, there's a lot of material for them to study.
Hard test.
Are there any other questions? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve this list?
I'll make a motion to approve the list of eligibility as presented.
Second.
I was
And Eric
seconded.
seconds it.
I
All
was
right, all in
seconded.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion pass. All right, so
Yay.
there's nobody joined from the public.
Double check that. No, sir.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Those opposed? The motion passed. We now adjourn the meeting and go ahead and stop recording.